minutes of the previous meetings for our regular meeting, the call meeting, our public hearing on the CDBG, and the work session. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And it carries. Reports of our standing committees and departments. Police Department, it was included in your agenda. Chris, you got anything to add?
No, sir.
Okay. Fire Department, Bucky?
Yes, sir, I want to just add a couple of things in there this time. Tell you what, those where we finally got our results back from ISO, we were able to keep our three. So, didn't need to change anybody's insurance rates, commercial public still in good shape. The work we did at the training center didn't get us credit for the training center, so all that paid off. And I included in there a comparison of the last police survey, so you can kind of see where our points went. That's in your report. And also I included a letter from the state. We had our state audit at the end of last month, and we went through that fine with those people.
Okay, thank you. Public Works, Wallace, got anything?
Yes, sir, I was just gonna add that, we did get the gravel truck back, the solid waste trucks, we're working on getting everybody situated as far as yard debris goes and cleaned up.
All right, thank you. And the Main Street, Bethany?
You got the report there. B&E was a huge success. Probably over 100 volunteer hours went into doing that just within the Better Hometown Blackshear program and the Public Works guys. We will, before your next meeting, we'll have the daddy-daughter dance, and it will be in the training room. So that's all on social media, in the paper, and on the radio. So all that stuff, that will happen before then.
Okay, thank you. And this time I would like to read a proclamation as honoring the occasion of the 100th birthday of Mr. Robert Lee Westbury. Whereas Mr. Lee Westbury, a lifelong resident of the city of Blackshear, was born on March the 8th, 1922, and whereas Mr. Westbury is a 1939 graduate of the former Presbyterian College in Blackshear, Georgia, and whereas while working at the Brunswick shipyard during World War II, Mr. Westbury was introduced to Agnes Walker, who he later married on April 7, 1945, and whereas at the end of the World War II, the Brunswick shipyard closed and Mr. Westbury became employed at Truett Hardware, where he worked for 40 years before retiring. And whereas a man of great faith, Robert Lee Westbury is the last living charter member of Emmanuel Baptist Church. And whereas Mike Stone, senior pastor of Emmanuel Baptist Church, calls Mr. Westbury the gold standard of Christian gentlemen and a hero and mentor to our church for nearly 70 years. And whereas it is fitting and proper to that those citizens from the greatest generation be publicly recognized, especially those living in our community. Therefore, I, Keith Brooks, Mayor of the City of Blackshear, and on behalf of the City Council and the citizens of Blackshear, honor Robert Lee Westbury for his long life and prosperity. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Blackshear to be affixed to this 10th day of May 2022. And now back to the dull stuff, huh? Okay, on the unfinished business, we have the ordinance 2022-05, which is a purchase ordinance. It's the second reading, which we had to have for compliance with the South Georgia Regional Commission applying for the CDBG grant. This is the second reading on that. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? And it passes. Next up is ordinance 2022-06, Parks and Recreation. This is, like I said, is a second reading on this. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Have a motion?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed?
No.
You-
I oppose.
Okay.
Could we get a clarification on that?
On the vote?
No, what is it? What the ordinance is? Yes, what is the ordinance?
Well, I don't have it right here in front of me, Tony, to read it out.
Can't you get it?
It's right here.
Right behind me.
We can get it for you, yes.
Allow the mayor to decide who can have a party in the park.
She may have a copy of it, yes.
And another point, you also left out your monthly gas report.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else from you?
Could be.
Okay. Thank you. It's special events permit. A special event is an event where a group of 50 or more people gathers for an event. A permit shall be first obtained from City Hall before the park may be used for any special event. A user is responsible for adhering to and complying with all rules and regulations pertaining to the use of the city park, with all permit directions and conditions, and with all applicable laws and ordinances. Any violation may result in the forfeiture of any deposits required and/or denial of future permits. And you want me to sit here and read this whole thing to you?
I'd like to hear it, please.
Generally, permits are only issued to groups consisting of 50 individuals or more. No reservations shall be granted to a group of less than 50 individuals without the consent of the mayor. Permits for the city park are granted on a first-come, first-served basis. Applications for park use for a special event must be submitted to the city clerk in writing prior to the event date. Applications for park usage shall be approved by the mayor. The application for park usage will be submitted in the form of a letter which must include all components of the event, such as type of event, activities included, expected attendance, staging, tent usage, entertainment, electricity, etc. The city may designate a special form to be used when submitting an application for a special event permit. And it goes through the insurance requirements of general liability, $100,000 per person, $200,000 per occurrence, $1 million per occurrence for a multi-day event. If applicable, workman's compensation, automobile liability limits, $100,000 per person, $200,000 per occurrence. Proof of such coverage should be in the form of a certificate of insurance presented to the city clerk at least 5 days prior to the commencement of the event. The insurer shall endeavor to give notice to the city in the event that such coverage is canceled for any reason. Law enforcement shall be required for all events where a special permit is required. The permit holder will be responsible for the cost of law enforcement services. The chief of police shall determine the number of law enforcement officers necessary for each special permit based on the expected attendance and type of event. The chief of police may determine that law enforcement is not needed for a particular special event. The law enforcement requirement may be waived. Fees associated with the cost of law enforcement for a particular event may be waived by the mayor and/or city council. Permit fees for residents is $50, non-residents $200. The waiver of fee for nonprofit groups. The mayor and/or city council shall have the authority to waive any permit fees for nonprofit groups or organizations. General provisions. Any cost for damages and any unusual cleaning costs will be assessed in writing to the user and paid by the user. By applying for the special event permit, the permitted party agrees to be responsible for all damages caused to the city property by the party's agent, employees, guests, including any damage resulting from such person's negligence. The permitted party is responsible for removing all litter during and at the conclusion of the event. At the conclusion of the event, the area will be inspected by a representative of the city. If the permitted party has not cleaned up the park and restored it to its original condition, The city will clean up the park and charge the permitted party as required to recover city expenses for site cleanup and repair. Enforcement. The city police department shall, in connection with their duties imposed by law, diligently enforce the provisions of this chapter. The city police department shall have the authority to order any person or persons acting in violation of this chapter to leave the park or recreation area. That's it.
Could I, somebody had told me that you were not gonna allow political parties to use the event.
We have not said anything like
Well, I
that.
didn't see anything about that, so I'm
Sorry.
just wondering.
Okay. But the ordinance did pass, second reading.
May I say something?
Go ahead.
City council, in a couple of these spots where he read, they've scratched out city council and just put the mayor. In a couple of these. I just wanted y'all to be aware of that. It seems as though our charter is being changed.
Mr. Mayor, a moment on that. If you remember, we did that because of the egg hunt, when they wanted to do an egg roll. Otherwise, we had to call a special meeting and come in and do that so a church could do an egg hunt in our park. And these are the situations we're talking about. Recognized group or a nonprofit, insured and bond, taking care of everything. It's not in any violation of anything.
Okay.
It's streamlining it. It makes sense.
Okay, under new business, we have Resolution 2022-25, which is a CDBG application for housing rehabilitation over and around the Lee Street area. It is still in, they're still doing the fact finding and on all that right now.
Yes, sir.
So they haven't brought anything before, so we don't know if we're gonna get, if we will get that application or not, but we have submitted it. So, need a motion to
Oh,
approve
Mr. Mayor,
this
Mr.
resolution.
Mayor.
No,
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead, Mr. Mackey.
Little Mackey, this Black Sheriff City Council. I removed myself from being a voter in that because I live right in the neighborhood.
Yes, sir.
And I don't feel like it's right for me to vote because it might be somebody I know real well.
Right, right. We understand, okay? Do we have a motion to approve the resolution to, for the CDBG grant application?
Motion.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. All approves, all in approval, say aye.
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 And those opposed? And it passes.
What's the amount?
Mr. Mayor, for purposes of the minutes, we'll note in there that Mr. Mackey recused himself, and we'll enter in the minutes the official letter that we would send to CDBG
Right.
to make sure they understand that.
Okay, thank you, Adam.
What's the dollar amount?
This one will be, it's possibly up to $1 million.
And you said last time it was in the Lee area, Lee Street Avenue?
It's in the Lee Street, it's in that area.
So you, I'm sorry?
It's in District.
District 4, and that's, Mr. Mackey lives in that area, so he has to recuse himself from any participation, and we're just in the application process. We don't know yet whether we've been awarded any, I mean, we've got to
Correct.
apply first before we can be considered for it,
So
so.
why did you choose Lee Avenue?
We have been through this, we're not gonna discuss it again tonight, okay? We've had a couple of public hearings on this, and nobody came, so we're not gonna open this up tonight. It's not on the agenda, it's just to approve the resolution. Next is our resolution of 2022-26 for alcohol license at Maddox Grocery. Chris, everything in order on that?
It is.
It is, okay. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved?
Have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed? And it passes. Next is Resolution 2022-27. It's the LMIG awarded bid for paving to East Coast Asphalt. This is our annual LMIG bid award. All right. To, like I said, to East Coast Asphalt. Do I have a motion to approve this resolution?
Motion.
Have a
Second.
motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed? And it passes. Next is ordinance 2202-07. It's the fiscal budget for our fiscal year 2022 through 2023. This is the first reading. We had discussed it in the work session. It was a balanced budget. We don't, like I said, we haven't got the digest yet back from the county, but we don't foresee any millage rate increases and no increases on the taxes. Like I said, it is balanced, and it's a good budget.
How much is it?
I don't have it right here in front of me. Chuck, you got it?
I'm looking.
3.35.
3.775. Last year was 3.565, but we had increases in revenue also.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to approve the budget for a first reading?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, we have 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 against, and it passes. Okay. Jenny, do we have any formal requests to hear from the public? Anybody sign in? Okay. All right, any informal requests from the public? Okay. Any council member have any comments at this time? If not, that concludes our business for the evening. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Still didn't get the gas report.
I'll get you a report on that, Tony. Does anybody have any questions about the gas report? Okay, thank you. Can we get a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Have a motion to adjourn and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?